Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic.
Darkness started to creep its way towards it. The celestial being, even with all its power, could not stop the darkness. My power, it's fading. My strength is weakening. Why can't I help him? He needs my power. The tailed beast lashed out in its cage, swinging its massive tail, trashing its tail wildly. As this was going on, a light glow started come just outside its cage, and a figure appeared, erasing the darkness of the surrounding environment slowly. In the outside world, please, just one more time, for one last time, let those words become true. A blonde woman cried, placing the necklace of her grandfather on his neck. She held the hands of the boy, who reminded her of her little brother and her lover. She couldn't save him, even after being the best medic nin in the entire elemental nation. She felt helpless, just as she felt when her love had died in front of her. She cried at the irony of the situation. She cried for being helpless. As she was crying, a lone teardrop fell on the necklace which the boy had won from the women. The necklace started to glow green and envelop the boy. After few seconds of glow died down and the boy had started to breathe again. She was shocked, but she was happy and relieved to see the boy breathing. She came near the boy and checked him once again. She was astonished to see the boy being physically fine. As she was checking she saw her rogue teammate coming towards the boy with his sword. She just moved by her instincts and protected the boy from the rogue Sanin by getting the sword shoved through her chest. Inside the mindscape, he lay there floating on the water. He woke up groggily and saw the place he was in. He didn't know where he was. The place looked like a large sewer with ankle-deep water. The last thing he remembered was shoving his completed Rasengan into the stomach of Kabuto and getting hit on his chest by his hand. He made his way towards a large hall where he could see a faint figure sitting cross-legged as if it was meditating, and behind the figure he saw large bars. He made his way to the person sitting so he could know where he was. As he went further, he could see that the person sitting there was a male. The said male had spiky blonde hair. His face was a bit angular. He couldn't tell his eye color as it was closed. He recognized the person sitting there. How could he not? The man sitting there was his idol, the person he wanted to surpass and become the greatest Hokage. Sitting there was the Yondaime Hokage. Anyo Yondaime-sama, why are you here? Or am I also dead? Asked Naruto. Yondaime opened his eyes and smiled at the boy. No, Naruto, you are not dead. As to where you are right now, we are inside your mind. How do you know my name? Naruto asked, a bit surprised. Now why would I not know my own son's name? Said the Yondaime. Son. He didn't understand. He was surprised, shocked, but of all the things he felt was anger. It had been 3 days and Tsunade was starting to get worried. The boy was still asleep and showed no signs of waking up. The fight between the three Sanin was over and the landscape had changed dominantly. Orochimaru had fled from the battle. Tsunade, after recovering from her chakra exhaustion, was by the side of the boy, checking him constantly. Naruto stirred from his sleep and opened his eyes slowly. He saw the room he was in and guessed he was in a hotel. The door opened to reveal Tsunade coming inside the room. Ah, it's good to see you are awake. You had me worried there for a while, Tsunade said to Naruto, giving him a smile. Ah, what happened to me and where am I? Naruto asked, stretching his body and yawning. You are in our hotel room. You lost consciousness after defeating Kabuto, so we brought you here after we finished our battle. You have been asleep for nearly 3 days. Naruto was surprised to hear that. He usually healed up very quickly, and then he remembered about Orochimaru. So did you guys kill the snake bastard? Asked Naruto. No, Gaki. He gave us the slip once again. He is one slippery bastard, replied Tsunade. Naruto just nodded his head and tried to get out of his bed. As he got off, he saw the green gemstone hanging on his neck. Congrats, Gaki, on winning that bet from me, and like I said, I will return to the village and take up the position of the Hokage, Tsunade said to him. Thanks, Ba-chan. It means a lot to me, Naruto exclaimed loudly. A twitch developed on her left eye hearing him call her an old woman, but she let it slide for now. Oh, and before I forget, I want to ask you something, she said to him a bit nervously. Naruto saw that she was nervous. Whatever she was going to ask him was important to her. He just nodded his head for her to ask him. Gaki, I know this is sudden, but I would like to adopt you into my family, she said a bit nervously, hoping that he would accept her proposal. Hearing this, Naruto was shocked why anyone would want to adopt him. Everyone thought he was a monster. Why? He asked, confused. Hearing this, Tsunade turned her head towards the boy and saw various emotions on his face, from confusion to happiness. It might be hard for you to believe, but you remind me of my little brother, and you have a very uncanny resemblance to him, and to be honest, you and I related to each other through our clan. Before he could speak up, she raised her hand and told him to let her finish. Before you ask, yes, I do know who your parents are, but it's not my place to tell you, she finished and waited for his answer. Ba-chan, I need some time to think about this. A lot has happened and I would like some rest, but could you please bring some food for me? He asked sheepishly at the last, rubbing the back of his neck. Sure, Gaki, I'll bring some food, and by the way, since you are awake, we will be leaving early in the morning, so don't sleep too much. As Tsunade left, he once again fell on his bed, thinking about all the things his father had said and about the adoption thing. He was confused and he didn't like it. He was Uzumaki Naruto, he was used to doing things on the fly. He waited for his food and thought he would decide all the decisions later. 1 week ago, Konoha village hidden in the leaves. Inside the council chamber. The two advisors of Konoha came inside the council chamber and greeted all the members of the council. The council consisted of two parts. One was the shinobi part, which consisted of all the shinobi clan heads of the village, and the second was the civilian council, which consisted of elected members of the Merchants Guild, Marketing District, and some other civilian guilds. We are here to discuss the terms which have to be sent to Suna. They have sent a letter stating that they have surrendered and are waiting for our terms and conditions to be sent to them, the elder Homura stated neutrally, but everyone could see the smug feeling in his voice. We should ask for monetary compensation as well as some of their jutsus, stated members of the council. We should ask them to send their Jinchuriki to our village as a hostage, stated a man sternly. This man looked old and had bandages covered his right eye, and his right hand also was bandaged up. Some of the civilian council didn't like this suggestion, as they thought that having one demon was more than enough. I would like to propose that we send a term stating that they have to send a strong kunoichi to our village in a marriage, Hiyashi suggested. Yes, seeing the low quality of this generation kunoichis, it would be a very good advantageous. But I suggest that we add the stipulation that it is non-negotiable. Yes, that would be a good move on our part and it would benefit our village largely, Kaharu stated. So it's decided, we will send these terms to them immediately. Suna, village hidden in sand. Council chamber. We have received the letter from Konoha telling their terms for our surrender, Baki told the council. Please read the file which has been provided to each of you. It contains all the details, but we shall discuss all the major terms in this session. One, the councilman spoke to the remaining members of the council. If you see the file, you can see the main terms are mostly what we expected, but one of the biggest problem is them asking for one of our kunoichi to their village in marriage. This caused quite a lot of confusion in some of the members in the council, whereas some of other councilmen saw what was asked of them. Yes, they seem not to trust us and want no chance of us betraying them once again, one of the shinobi present told the council. They are quite clever, as everyone saw the standard of their kunoichis in the Chunin exams. Not one kunoichi of theirs made it to the finals. But even if we have to send our best kunoichi to them, they haven't stated that they will choose the groom, which could be an advantage to us, Baki stated happily. Baki, you sound as if you already have an idea on whom we can choose, one councilman said. Yes, but for my whole plan to work, we need the acceptance of temari. Why do you need temari's acceptance for this? Because I propose that we send temari as our bride to the village, and for the groom we shall choose Uchiha Sasuke. But why her? She is one of our most promising kunoichi, and why the last Uchiha? The councilman asked. Baki just sighed at this. He really didn't want to elaborate on this plan of his. Alright, I will explain, so listen carefully. Temari is still developing her skills and she won't reach her full potential since Konoha doesn't have many wind users. This way we can keep our Jonin ranked kunoichi out of their hands. Konoha can't blame our sincerity as we are giving up our Yondaime Kazukage's daughter, and as for why the last Uchiha, his name should be proof enough, and moreover that boy is very strong as proof from the match, and once he has an offspring with Temari we can manipulate the situation by having one boy of that clan marry into our village. This way we can gain the famed Sharingan to our village. Yes, that is a very good plan and it just needs the acceptance from Temari. Let's hope that she accepts it. She can be very stubborn and the rumors surrounding Gaara are very troubling, one of the councilmen said. Don't worry, I will talk to her and I will convince her, Baki said. Jur. Thank you, for being the first one to review this story. Elder sibling. Thank you for your suggestion for the story. And thank you everyone who alert, Fab this story. What's happening? I don't understand, it was never like this with him before. How can he change so much in such a short time? A blonde girl asked the boy standing next to her. I have no idea and have no clue whatsoever how this happened, the boy replied. Currently the blonde girl and the boy who was in a cat costume were watching their youngest brother meditating calmly. They were shocked to see him not giving of any killing intent. He didn't have any crazed look and neither did he utter a word about killing anyone or about proving his existence. The said boy had red hair and tanuki-like eyes with dark circles around his eyes. Currently he was pondering about the revelation he heard from the other Jinchuriki in Konoha. Precious people. The concept was foreign to him. He didn't have anyone whom he could say was precious to him. The only possible person who could come close to that was his sister. As thought about her, he remembered her being by his side even when he threatened to kill her. He needed to know more about this concept of precious people. Would you two staring at me? It's getting annoying, Gaara said to his siblings in a neutral voice. Kankuro panicked and was about to run, but his sister Temari held him in his place. Gaara, I know this is sudden, but I would like to know what happened to you and how you are so calm. Temari asked. I have had a lot to think about in the past few days. After my battle with Uzumaki, he said some things that have changed my view on a lot of things, Gaara replied again in a neutral voice. Oh, what did he say? She asked with genuine curiosity. Nothing you need to know for the moment, Gaara replied and started to walk away from them. Temari was once again shocked. Her brother brushed her off and didn't threaten her. Whatever that Uzumaki had said had a huge impact on her brother. She vowed to know what they talked about. Temari was training in one of the training grounds. It was starting to get dark and she knew she should have gone home by now, but she was working on this particular jutsu for quite some time and wanted to finish it. Just as she was finished, her sensei Baki came to the training field. Temari, can I have a minute with you? I need to discuss some things which has been decided in today's council meeting. Hearing this, Temari just nodded her head to her sensei to continue. We have received the terms for our surrender from Konoha and they have asked for a kunoichi to be wed to one of their shinobi. Hearing this, a pit formed in Temari's stomach. She could guess what she was going to hear next. The council has decided you will be sent to Konoha. I know it's shocking, but you have to understand that it's the best decision for the village. And I would also like to say you have another mission with this marriage. You are to sire a child of your groom as soon as possible. This shocked Temari as she didn't think she would be used like this by her village. But she knew that this was the life of a kunoichi. Sensei, can I at least think about this? Temari asked, tears threatening to spill from her eyes. I'm sorry Temari, but you don't have a choice in this matter. The council has already decided and I'm just here to inform you the news, Baki replied neutrally, trying to sound as apologetic as possible. Can I at least know who I'm going to get married to? Temari asked fearfully. She didn't want to be married some noble who was around her father's age, and she definitely didn't want to be just a trophy wife. Sure, the council has chosen Uchiha Sasuke as your groom, he said to her. Temari once again was shocked to hear this. She saw him injure Gaara, but she also saw the foul chakra he emitted when he battled Gaara, and she didn't like the guy's attitude. She knew she had no choice in this matter now. Hardening herself, she said, "Sensei, I will take this mission. I will come and meet the council tomorrow to give my consent." Hearing this, Baki just grinned internally, as his plan had gone very well. He left the training field informing Temari to arrive to the meeting around 11. As soon as her sensei left, she slumped down and hugged her knees to her chest and started to cry. But unknown to her, a figure had heard their talk and decided what he would do. This was a new experience for Jiraiya. He had experienced a lot of things in his life: pain of betrayal from his teammate Orochimaru, rejection of his love from Tsunade. But he never let those things affect him too much, but the sudden change of behavior from his godson towards him affected him greatly. The boy and he had a very good relation. They would tease each other and get on each other's nerves, but both enjoyed each other's company. But after Naruto had woken up from his coma after the battle with Orochimaru and Kabuto, he hadn't talked to Jiraiya too much, and whenever Jiraiya talked with Naruto, he would just reply only as much required and move away from him. Jiraiya didn't think much at first, but when Naruto had refused to be trained by him, that shocked him to the core. He didn't know what he had done to get on the kid's bad side, but he didn't like it, and Naruto just didn't respond to him. As the group made their way towards Konoha, Jiraiya decided to confront Naruto and know what exactly he did. As these thoughts were going through Jiraiya's head, Tsunade's thoughts were completely different. She was a bit nervous, and she knew it wasn't for taking the mantle of Hokage, but because of Naruto. He had said that he would tell his decision about her offer once they reached the village. Just as they reached the village gates, Naruto excitedly inside the village. "Ba-chan, I'm going to Ichiraku Ramen and will meet you in the hospital once you come to heal Kakashi-sensei and Uchiha-san," Naruto yelled excitedly. None of the members missed the Uchiha jab at Sasuke. They just went on thinking they would talk to him later. Naruto ran towards Ichiraku's excitedly and came inside the ramen stand and yelled, "Hey old man, can I get some ramen here? I'm starving," he shouted to the stand owner. "Oh Naruto, it's good to see you. I was wondering when you would come back. Here, the first bowl is on the house," the ramen owner said happily. Naruto finished his ramen and went to his crappy apartment and lay on his bed. He started to think about all the things his father had told him. He was happy that his father and mother didn't abandon him like the villagers told him. He knew he could have been treated at least a bit better if his godfather had taken care of him. He could never forgive him for the loneliness he had experienced. He knew he would have to improve his skills, knowledge and intelligence. He had work hard from now on and become strong so that he could take his father's name when the time came without any problems. As he was musing in his thoughts, he remembered that he had to talk with Ba-chan. He got off his bed, washed his face and made his way towards the hospital. He knew that this talk with Ba-chan would most likely change his life. In the council hall, Konoha. 3 days before the arrival of Tsunade and group. Before Tsunade had arrived, the council had received the letter from Suna. The hidden sand village had agreed to all their conditions, but there was one major shock to the elders of Konoha. The entire council had predicted that since Konoha did not send the groom's name, the Suna council would choose the last loyal Uchiha as the groom. It was well thought out plan and had the advantage of having the Uchiha Sasuke inside the village. The elders knew that the boy was flight risk, and with a marriage he could be tied down inside the village. But the elders were shocked that the Suna council had not even mentioned the name of the boy but asked for the hand of the village pariah. The elders knew the boy's lineage and were very, if the boy got to know about his parentage now, it would be devastating for the village, with more than half the economy of Konoha being dependent on the combined wealth of Uzumaki clan fund and Namikaze Minato's fund, and not to mention the political backlash from the fire daimyo, since Kushina was clan heiress and princess of the land of whirlpools. They had to tread carefully on this new situation, and so the elders decided to call a vote on the issue. The entire shinobi clan voted for the union between Naruto and Temari. Present. The elders were a bit scared now. They had signed the papers for the marriage between Temari and Naruto, but after hearing Tsunade talk about the blonde boy as though he was her son was causing panic for the elders. He knew they had to inform the women about the marriage. Instead of informing the Hokage verbally, they just placed the document on her table for her to read. What the hell is this? WHO authorized this, yelled Tsunade as soon as she read the document pertaining to Naruto's marriage. Hokage-sama, as you can see, the treaty with Suna was important, and since we were the one proposed the marriage clause, we can't deny them, replied Homura. Tsunade sighed. She knew none of her screaming would matter, and the passing of the document had been done legally in the absence of Hokage. She decided that she would tell Naruto about this when she would meet him at the hospital. She read the document once again and sighed, knowing she had just 2 more weeks till the Suna party would arrive. She took the document with her and made her way towards the hospital to treat the members of Team 7. Naruto reached the entrance of the hospital and waited for Tsunade to come. He didn't have to wait, as Tsunade and Shizune came near the hospital in a few minutes after Naruto. Ba-chan, would you mind hearing me before going inside and treat the patients? Naruto asked without any hint of jovialness in his voice. Tsunade just nodded her head and asked for the blonde boy to continue. Ba-chan, about your offer, does it still stand? Naruto asked with some embarrassment. Hearing the words coming from Naruto, Tsunade just grinned. Of course, Gaki, it still does, Tsunade replied. Hey Ba-chan, I would love to be a part of your family, but can you do me favor before we can make it official? Naruto asked, rubbing the back of his neck sheepishly. Sure Gaki, what is this favor you are asking? You need some tips for going out with a girl, Tsunade asked teasingly and laughed hard when Naruto had blushed. Nothing like that, Ba-chan. I wanted to ask you to remove Jiraiya as my godfather. A week before Naruto's arrival to Konoha, Temari and Baki waited for the arrival of all the members of the council. Temari had decided with a heavy heart to go through all the conditions of the treaty. She had cried herself to sleep last night. Once all the members of the council came, Baki stated, "We are presented here to know the decision of our Kunoichi Sabaku no Temari, to the marriage proposal by Konoha." The council murmured among them and waited for her decision. Respected council, I have decided to go through with marriage proposal, but not for my happiness but for the love I have for my home, and my acceptance bring about some sense of peace among the 2 villages, and I also am prepared to fulfill the secondary mission. Temari announced her decision to the council. The council talked among them happily and was nodding their heads. We, the members of the council in the absence of the cage, respect your decision and are passing it with a full vote of confi. Just before he could finish his sentence, the door of the council chamber suddenly were smashed open from the sand. Everyone inside the council chamber was scared, knowing that the only person who could use sand in the village was Gaara. Gaara stepped inside the chamber, releasing his killing intent without any care. He approached the middle of the room and looked towards the council standing or waiting. I heard that you are planning to marry of my sister to the last Uchiha of Konoha, is it true? Gaara asked the council neutrally, his face showing no emotion. Gaara waited for someone to reply but didn't receive any reply from any of them. He turned towards his sister and asked, "Are you agreeing to this proposal of your free will or are you being pressured?" he asked. Temari was shocked once again by her brother's behavior. He never showed any kind of emotion towards her, but now she could feel the hint of emotion in his question. Hi, I agreed to this out of my free will, she replied. Fine, I will agree to this only on one condition. You will not marry that Uchiha, but will marry the person who defeated me. I wish for you to marry Uzumaki Naruto, Gaara said again stoically. A few shinobi members of the council started to argue about this but were soon silenced when Gaara used his sand to choke one of them into unconsciousness. After making the whole council agree to his request demand, he left the council chambers. Outside the council chamber, Gaara was walking away from the chamber with a slight annoyed look, as he was getting new type of reaction from the villagers. Some glares were showing surprise and others looked scared. Gaara made his way towards the park, as his feet just dragged him there. He just sat there and watched some kids play with a ball, As they were playing, some small girl missed her catch and the ball came towards Gaara. The small girl who missed the ball shouted, "Hey Oni-chan, can you pass the ball please?" Gaara was taken aback by the girl. He was so shocked that he didn't even notice the girl running towards him to get the ball. "Oni-chan, you okay? Why didn't you throw the ball back to me?" the girl asked with innocence that it put a small smile on Gaara's face. "Gomen, I was thinking about something," Gaara replied, trying to put as much emotion as he could. The girl didn't really think much about his answer and asked, "Oni-chan, will you play with us?" Gaara did not know what to tell the girl. This was the first time someone wanted to play with him. He agreed to play with the girl and her friends and went near the group and started playing. Temari saw this and pinched herself, thinking she might be in some type of dream or was caught in a genjutsu. She couldn't believe her eyes at seeing Gaara acting normal and sane. She couldn't take it anymore and made her way towards him. Seeing his sister walk towards him, Gaara stopped playing and told the kids he needed to go. The girl who had asked him to play dropped her face in sadness and went towards him and asked, "Oni-chan, will you come and play with us tomorrow?" Gaara just gave the child a nod and started to walk towards his sister when he felt a tug on his shirt. He turned around and saw the girl holding her small finger. "Oni-chan, you forgot to pinky promise me," she smiled. Gaara looked confused at this and saw his sister laughing with an amused expression on her face. She motioned for him to hold the small girl's finger and promise her. "Okay, I pinky promise that I will come and play with you tomorrow," he replied. Gaara made his way towards Temari, who was waiting for him. "Gaara, what happened to you? You are behaving strangely. Please answer," she pleaded him to reply. Gaara looked at her and saw her face, which was looking for answers from him. He let out a slight sigh and motioned for her to follow him. They walked towards one of the training fields. The walk was silent with different thoughts going through both siblings' mind. They reached a training ground which was on the outskirt of the village. "Temari, what exactly do you want to know about?" Gaara asked Temari. A lot of question went through her head which she wanted to ask, but she wasn't able to think of one particular one. She took a deep breath and asked, "Gaara, there are too many questions to ask, but my biggest question which I want to ask is why you interfered on my behalf in the council chamber." Gaara wasn't surprised by this question. He knew he had to tell her and convince her of his sincerity. "Temari, do you remember Uzumaki Naruto?" Gaara asked. "Hi, how could I not? He was the one who defeated you," she told him a bit nervously, trying not to anger her brother. "When Uzumaki defeated me, he told me he was like me, he carries the same burden as I, he didn't give up hope on people and found his reason for his existence. He told me that the reason for his strength was that he needed to protect his precious people. He said even I could find the same strength. At first I thought I wouldn't be able to find anyone precious to me, but then I remembered that you were there for me even when I was threatening you and Konkuro." Temari listened to him and was surprised as she had never heard her brother talk this much, but her eyes widened when her brother told that she was precious to him. As she was listening, tears started flow from her eyes. "Temari, when I overheard your conversation with Baki-sensei and when you broke down crying after he left, I was saddened by it very much. I couldn't understand what I was feeling, but I knew that I didn't want you to cry. So I went and found all the terms of the treaty and I understood why you took the decision, but I knew you wouldn't be happy with the Uchiha, so I came and told what was best of you." Gaara finished and just looked down the ground waiting for some sort of reaction from his sister. Temari was stunned from hearing all this. She didn't know what to say. Her brother had changed and cared for her so much so that he would take on the whole council for her. Receiving no answer from his sister, Gaara was saddened that his first attempt to have someone accept him. "Gomen, Temari, I thought my interference would help you at least a bit," he replied sadly, which could be seen through his eyes. Temari's eyes snapped up when she heard her brother's voice and saw the hurt in his eyes. She ran up to him and hugged him. Gaara was surprised to see that his sand hadn't risen up to protect him, but he felt a warmth spread from his chest when his sister had hugged him, and a few tears escaped from his eyes for finally getting some sort of reassurance for his effort. "Arigato, Gaara. I really appreciate it and I'll try to be there for you as much as I can from now on. She replied, hugging her brother and crying tears of happiness for finally having her brother back with her, and for all this she had to thank the blonde from Konoha. Uzumaki Naruto, it will be interesting to meet you personally, thought Temari. In Konoha, present time. Tsunade was sitting inside the Hokage chamber nursing a huge headache from the request she got from Naruto. She was shocked when Naruto told the reason for her request. Flashback. Nothing like that, Ba-chan. I wanted to ask you to remove Jiraiya as my godfather, he said as it was nothing. Tsunade's eyes went wide hearing this. She turned and saw Naruto with an unreadable expression on his face. Naruto, how do you know about this? Who told you? She asked, trying to control the shock which was evident in her voice. Naruto looked at her. Ba-chan, what I'm about to say to you is very important for me and I'm trusting you with this. Please don't break it. I don't think I can survive if you betray my trust. Tsunade was once again shocked to hear that Naruto had placed so much trust in her. During my battle with Kabuto, he struck near my chest and cut my connection from the fox. When I was dying, the fox pushed as much chakra as he could to save me. This triggered a failsafe placed by the Yondaime in the seal. The Yondaime told me everything. I know that I am the son of Konoha's Yellow Flash Namikaze Minato and the red-hot-blooded habanero Uzumaki Kushina. Tsunade's jaw literally hit the floor hearing Naruto telling about his parents. My father told me the circumstances which happened during my birth and why his decision on sealing the QB inside of me. He was furious once he got to know that Jiraiya didn't look after me and the village ignored his dying wish. He also told me that after everything I had gone through in this village, he would gladly support my decision if I ever choose to leave Konoha. Tsunade was getting nervous now. She didn't want her new brother, son figure to leave her. Naruto, I don't know the extent of how much you suffered in this village, but please don't leave for my sake. Give the village which my grandfather built another chance, Tsunade pleaded him with tears rolling down her cheeks. Ba-chan, you are the only reason why I even came back to this village, and I don't know what it is like to be loved by a mother, but I want to experience it, and you are the only one I want to call my Ka-chan if you would let me. He said the last part in barely a whisper, but Tsunade heard it. Tsunade saw the longing in Naruto's eyes. She had seen that look in herself whenever she looked herself in the mirror. The feeling of belonging to someone, to be loved by someone, a feeling of complete acceptance for both their good and bad. She didn't want to deny Naruto that motherly. She hugged him protectively. When Naruto felt the hug, he was startled, but soon he hugged her back, tears flowing down his cheek. Years of suppressed pain finally came out in the form of tears. He whispered one sentence that gave Tsunade's whole life a sense of fulfillment. Arigato Ka-chan, arigato for accepting me in your life. No, Naru-chan, arigato for giving me the privilege of being your mother, she cried happily. After a few minutes she saw that Naruto had fallen asleep hugging her. She smiled seeing the calm expression on his face and carried him to the hospital and laid him on one of the empty beds and went to treat the patients she had come to treat. Shizune, who was standing beside Tsunade, witnessed the whole event and was happy that finally her teacher had found a new reason to live her life to the fullest, yet she still worried about Naruto's request but didn't talk about it after seeing the smile on Tsunade's face. End flashback. As Tsunade thought about what had happened, her teammate Jiraiya came through the window and asked boisterously. Hey Haim, you wanted to see me, anything important happened? Tsunade didn't know how to break the news to her teammate. Jiraiya, the news concerns Naruto and his request about you. At hearing this, Jiraiya got a confused look on his face and wondered about the request. Jiraiya, Naruto knows about his parents and about you being his godfather. Those words did it for Jiraiya. He paled and dreaded what he would hear next. He wanted to say something, but Tsunade raised her hand to let her continue. Jiraiya, there is no easy way for me to say this, but Naruto has requested me to remove you as his godfather and guardian. Jiraiya was lost. The creeping fear he had at the back of his mind had come true. He knew he had failed his godson and his student. He thought he would make it up by taking him as his apprentice and form some kind of bond without revealing about his position as the boy's godfather. Jiraiya, I think you should talk with Naruto and get to know the reason for his decision. He is currently sleeping at the hospital. You should go see him now, Tsunade told Jiraiya. Tsunade, please tell me how he got to know about his parents and me and why is he in the hospital? Jiraiya asked with a solemn expression. Tsunade explained in detail about the whole ordeal. To say Jiraiya was surprised would be like saying Kakashi was rarely late to meetings. After hearing everything, Jiraiya raced towards the hospital to meet his godson. Jiraiya, I hope Naruto hasn't lost all his hope from you, she thought to herself seeing her teammate disappear from the tower. His life had been full of failures. He couldn't stop his friend from betraying the village, he couldn't stop the death of his sensei or his student, he wasn't able to fulfill his role as a godfather, and now he was losing his godson and he couldn't help but blame anyone else but himself for the position he was in now. Jiraiya made his way towards the room where Naruto was sleeping. He was nervous, he didn't know what to say to his godson and how to explain why he did what he had to do. Jiraiya opened the door to the room and saw that Naruto was still asleep. He entered the room and sat on the nearby chair and waited for Naruto to wake up. 20 minutes later, Naruto woke up. He saw that he was in an unfamiliar room. As the memories came back to him, he smiled. The smile was a very small one, but it showed the true happiness he was feeling. As he was contemplating about the talk he had with Tsunade, he heard a small cough and saw that Jiraiya sitting in his room. His mood instantly changed. A frown appeared on his face just for a moment, but it was replaced with his usual goofy look. Jiraiya didn't miss the change in his godson's mood. He had clearly seen the frown which had appeared on Naruto's face. Naruto, I wanted to talk with you. What would you possibly have to talk with someone like me, Jiraiya-sama, and why are you here? Don't you have to be in some onsen doing research? Naruto replied, barely restraining his anger. Jiraiya flinched at the tone Naruto had used. He wasn't able to see the optimism in the boy's eyes or the carefree expression on his face. Right then he knew the damage had been done. He needed to be careful with his interaction. Naruto, I just heard your request from Tsunade. Is it true? If then, I want to know why. Naruto just gave a low chuckle and started to laugh. The laugh was becoming hysterical. After a few seconds he stopped laughing and looked at Jiraiya. When Jiraiya saw Naruto stare towards him, he was shocked. The eyes, there was no life in them. It was an empty look. Jiraiya wanted to say something, but the words didn't form. Naruto regained his composure and looked towards the ceiling. Yes, it is true, I requested to remove you as my godfather, said Naruto while spitting out the last word with venom. For the reason you should know yourself, you are one of the great Sannin, aren't you? Jiraiya flinched receiving the answer, and to be honest, he knew that he had failed Naruto. Naruto, it's not like I wanted to abandon you. You need to understand that as the spymaster, okay, the village, I had lookout for the village and I couldn't do it being here, Jiraiya replied. Naruto didn't show any emotion at hearing his reason. He just kept staring at the ceiling. After a few minutes he looked at Jiraiya and woke from the bed and stared to make his way towards the door. Jiraiya getting no answer from his godson. Naruto, please just give me a chance. I know I screwed up, but please give me a chance, right my wrong. Naruto stopped dead in his track and turned towards the Toad Sannin with a furious expression and yelled. A chance? A chance? Why the hell should I give a chance to you when no one in this village gave me one? Even the shinobi who know about my parents didn't do anything for me. Do you have any idea how it was growing up here? I was denied my existence in this village. Have you ever had the thoughts of suicide at the age of 8? Naruto stopped before he said too much and looked at the stunned expression of Jiraiya and calmed himself and continued. You say that you had to take care of the village. I understand it, but it doesn't excuse you from not seeing me for the past 12 years. Do you know how much I suffered? Just one single meeting would have been enough for me. I would have some hope in my life. You say that you are a spymaster. Answer me this. Have you ever asked any of your contacts in the village about my treatment? Naruto asked. Jiraiya didn't have any answer to this question. He had assumed that the Sandaime would take care of Naruto. He lowered his head in shame. Seeing Jiraiya's silence, Naruto just sighed and made his way towards the door to go to his apartment. Naruto, please stop. I'm really sorry, I really am. Please forgive me. Please give me chance, I beg you, Jiraiya shouted. Jiraiya-sama, you shouldn't be begging some no-name genin like me, and for not giving you a chance I'm sorry I can't, because at the most important time in my life you choose the village, and now I'm choosing my happiness rather than giving you your forgiveness. Naruto moved just outside the room and turned back and said, Jiraiya-sama, forgiveness is earned, not given. Even my father had to earn it when he met me. Goodbye. Naruto left the hospital and made his way to his apartment. Jiraiya was on his knees, tears flowing down his face. After a long time in his life he had felt truly helpless. Tsunade sat in her office and was racking her brain on how to tell Naruto the news about his marriage. As she was thinking, Shizune came inside the room with hurried breath. Tsunade-sama, there is a problem with the adoption papers for Naruto. What? What kind of problem? Tsunade shouted. Since Naruto is the last of the Uzumaki clan here in Konoha, he gets the status of clan heir when he reaches the rank of Chunin, and so he can't be adopted, Shizune replied. Why is this whole village, no, this whole world conspiring against the happiness of Naruto? Tsunade yelled angrily. What are we going to do now, Tsunade-sama? Shizune asked. What else, Shizune? We need to tell him and hope he forgives me for getting his hopes high, Tsunade said with a sad tone. Hi. Let's go and meet him, Shizune said. Tsunade and Shizune made their way towards Naruto's apartment. Shizune, are you sure this is the right way? Tsunade asked, seeing that they were making their way through the slums of Konoha. Hi Tsunade-sama, I got the address from the ninja registration book. Tsunade and Shizune finally reached the building where Naruto was residing. Walking up towards the apartment, they couldn't help but feel sorry for Naruto. After walking up 3 flights of stairs, they came to Naruto's room. They knocked the door and waited for the blonde to answer the door. After a few seconds, Naruto opened the door. Hey Ka-chan, Shizune-chan, what brings you here? Naruto asked happily. Tsunade and Shizune could clearly see the happiness in the boy's eyes when he saw them. This just hurt them more as they came bearing the bad news. Naruto, can we come in? Shizune asked, breaking the silence. Hi. Come in, and I'm sorry about the mess, I wasn't expecting any company today. As they entered the room, they were shocked seeing the condition of the apartment. Tsunade was getting angry by the second, reading the sayings written on the walls. Seeing the reaction of his new Ka-chan, Naruto said, Don't worry about the writings, I've gotten over them a long time ago, they don't mean much to me now. Naru-chan, I'm afraid I have some bad news for you. Your adoption was not possible, as you will be given the clan heir position when you reach Chunin, Tsunade said in a very sad tone. Naruto wasn't much surprised hearing this, as his father had already told him why he couldn't be adopted when he was a child. It's okay, Ka-chan, I don't need some papers to call you my mother. I just wanted your acceptance, that's it, Naruto replied. Tsunade was speechless hearing the words coming out from Naruto's mouth. She smiled warmly and hugged her son fiercely. Shizune just smiled seeing the scene, but was beginning to get concerned for her brother as she noticed some changes in Naruto's personality. Thank you, Naru-chan, for understanding, as you have accepted me as your mother. As my son, you will not live in this dump of an apartment from now on. You can live in one of the houses near the Senju compound, Tsunade said sternly. Hi Ka-chan, Naruto replied as tears of joy fell from his eyes. Okay then, come on, we will go and have some dinner, Tsunade said to both Naruto and Shizune as she left the apartment. Shizune and Naruto looked at one another and smiled and followed Tsunade. It had been 3 days after Naruto had moved from his old crappy apartment to his new house near the Senju compound. The owners of the house initially didn't want to rent their house to the demon brat, but were easily convinced when Tsunade took over the talking. Now Naruto had a small house. The house was a simple duplex with 2 bedrooms, a kitchen and a living room and a guest room. Naruto had moved into his new house with the help team 8, which consisted of Hinata, Kiba and Shino. Naruto was a bit surprised since it was Hinata who helped arranging the house properly. In the Hokage chamber, Naruto stood there shocked, his eyes were wide as dinner plates, his jaws were hitting the floor. Tsunade was trying not to laugh at Naruto's reaction while Shizune and Tonton had a massive sweat drop. Calm down, Naru-chan, it's not the end of the world, Tsunade said sarcastically. What the hell, Ka-chan? How the hell am I supposed to be calm when you said, I'm getting married? Naruto all but shouted. Tsunade had to hold back a snicker seeing his reaction to the news, though she was relieved to see that he didn't take the news the wrong way. Naru-chan, I'm sorry I can't stop this from happening as this proposal was accepted before I was instated as the Hokage, but look at the bright side, you get a beautiful girl as your bride, the Hokage said teasingly. Naruto just blushed at the word bride and started shaking his head. Ka-chan, I'm just 12, how I can even get married? Naruto, you will be living with Temari together, get to know her first, try and befriend her and you might be surprised. You are almost 13. How can I befriend her? What if she is like Sakura and hits me? Naruto asked. Both Shizune and Tsunade were surprised when he mentioned the name of Sakura. When Naruto had told them about his crush towards the pink-haired girl, they were genuinely surprised, and when he told them about her attitude and how she treated him, Tsunade was pretty pissed. After hearing everything about his classmates from him, Tsunade decided to let Naruto know that his crush on Sakura was unhealthy, where she was borderline abusive towards him. Naruto didn't like what Tsunade said about Sakura, but when he thought about it for a day he finally realized that his Ka-chan was right. Naruto, not every girl is like that, if it comes to that you can always approach me. Hi, but I think she will not be happy with this marriage since I'm the one who defeated her brother during the invasion. There might be some truth there. Anyways, you should know that she will coming here in a week and I'll try and make your life as comfortable as possible, just stay out of trouble, Tsunade said. Hi Ka-chan, so can I leave now? Naruto asked. Tsunade just nodded her head and saw him leave the office, as soon as he left. You come in now, Jiraiya, Tsunade said. As soon as she said those words, Jiraiya came through the window and stood next to Tsunade. Tsunade could see that Jiraiya was still hurt by Naruto's words, there was no positive vibe coming from him, he hadn't uttered a single perverted word for the past 3 days. She knew her friend needed her help right now. Jiraiya, stop wallowing in sadness, you have a job to do. It's my job that cost me my godson Haim, Jiraiya replied sadly. Tsunade couldn't help but feel for her friend. As a shinobi, she understood why he did what he had to do, but still he shouldn't have left Naruto completely out of his life. Before her thought could move on, Shizune interrupted. Tsunade-sama, I think there is some problem with Naruto psychologically. What do you mean, Shizune? What did you observe? Tsunade asked hurriedly. It's just that since our return to Konoha, it feels as though that Naruto has lost original attitude and seems more serious most of the time, Shizune said. Tsunade, hearing this, released the breath she was holding. Is that all, Shizune? Tsunade asked, to which Shizune nodded. Ah, thank Kami, it's nothing serious, Tsunade said, giving out a long sigh. Haim, care to explain why it isn't serious? Jiraiya asked a bit worriedly. It's bound to happen. He may be a shinobi and considered an adult, but he still is an 12-year-old boy who is fighting to gain acceptance in this village. When he found out about his parents and got to know that he could have had a parental figure in his life who could have accepted him and have some happiness in his life, his will must have cracked. Jiraiya felt ashamed at hearing this again. I can tell you surely now that he has severe trust issues in this entire village except for me and Shizune. It's good he's acting out differently, it shows that even he is human. If he stayed the same after all this, I would have checked for his mental stability, but that's not necessary now. He will be back to his old self, but it will take some time. But if he can find some people whom he can trust, it will speed up the process, Tsunade said to both Jiraiya and Shizune. I just hope you're right, Haim, Jiraiya said. Jiraiya, you really should stop mopping around and try to make amends with Naruto. He did say that forgiveness is earned and even his father had to earn his forgiveness, Tsunade said. Hi, he said that bit, but I don't know what to do to earn his forgiveness, Jiraiya replied. That is something you need to figure out yourself. My suggestion is go to Mount Myokabu and rest for contemplate on what to do and talk with Naruto after some time, Tsunade replied. Hearing the suggestion, Jiraiya nodded his head, and for the first time in 3 days he felt a little optimistic. Go now, Jiraiya, I still need to finish this goddamn paperwork and announce to the shinobi about the engagement and eventual marriage of Naruto and Temari, Tsunade said irritably as Jiraiya hopped out of the window. She didn't know eventual headache that would occur when she would announce the news tomorrow, especially from the Rookie 9. Inside the office were the Konoha 12-Team 8 as they had gone for a C rank mission and weren't due to return for another 2 days. Naruto looked the serious with his new outfit which she had bought him yesterday as she refused her son to wear the orange monstrosity. Now Naruto was wearing a black muscle t-shirt over a dark blue zip-up jacket and a black pant with black sandals with blue trimming, yet there was his usual warmth radiating from him. Next to Naruto stood Sasuke, who had a look of arrogance on his face, and next to him stood Sakura, who was fawning over the Uchiha. Ino was looking at Sasuke dreamily but would glance at Naruto every now and then. Choji was standing there eating a bag of chips and Shikamaru stood like he would fall asleep any moment. Tsunade cleared her throat. Everyone in the room looked at her attentively. I've called everyone here to make an announcement. It's regarding the new treaty alliance with Suna. They have asked for an arranged marriage with one of our shinobi. Hearing this, silence occupied the room with everyone digesting the news, and everyone had their own thoughts about this. Choji didn't look concerned and Shikamaru was thinking about who the bride and groom would be, while Sakura and Ino looked concerned, thinking their Sasuke would be chosen as he was the great Uchiha. The said Uchiha was thinking that he would be chosen because of his clan name, and he was already thinking of accepting as he did require a strong female to rebuild his clan. The silence was broken by Shikamaru, who asked, Hokage-sama, who are the bride and groom? Everyone waited curiously for the answer. The bride is Sabaku no Temari, Yondaime Kasuke's daughter, Tsunade replied, and waited to see the expression on everyone's when she would announce the groom's name. Hearing Temari's name, the girls paled as they knew the girls was strong as well as beautiful. Their concerns grew more when they saw how interested their Sasuke was. Shikamaru looked impassive, but his mind was racing through the list of guys who would be the groom. Shikamaru had been impressed with the girl back at the Chunin exams. Sasuke was delighted to hear the name as he too was impressed by Temari and knew that she was a very powerful kunoichi. The moment he had heard about the marriage proposal, he had assumed that he would be chosen by Suna, as even he knew that Suna would choose him as the groom. Naruto didn't look fazed as he already knew about the whole affair beforehand from his mother. Tsunade looked at the varying expression from all the rookies in the room and cleared her throat once again and said, as I saying, the bride will be Sabaku no Temari and the groom is Uzumaki Naruto. Nobody said anything. Silence reigned for a few minutes, and the silence was broken by a loud shout of, what? Normally everyone would be thinking the shout would come from one of the Sasuke fangirls, but how wrong they were. It came from the most unexpected person in the room. Shikamaru couldn't contain his surprise at the announcement. The news threw his thinking out of the box, and this had caused the outburst from him. Choji was more surprised by Shikamaru's outburst rather than the actual news of Naruto being chosen as the groom. Sakura and Ino were surprised to hear the news, and when the news sunk in, both were happy that their Sasuke-kun was still available. Sasuke was shocked and he was fuming inside, not because he wasn't chosen but because Naruto was chosen instead of him, and he wanted to ask them why they had chosen Naruto but was beaten to it. Sorry for the outburst, Hokage-sama, but why have they chosen Naruto? I don't understand the logic behind it, as it mostly expected to have them marry into a reputed clan. Hearing this, Naruto gritted his teeth, knowing he belonged to the Uzumaki clan but couldn't tell anyone about his heritage. Tsunade flinched at hearing the clan remark from Shikamaru, which went unnoticed. We don't know why they have chosen Naruto over the clan heir, but we made the mistake of letting them choose the groom, so we can't deny them of their choice, Tsunade replied. This still didn't answer the question going through Shikamaru's head, but he kept quiet and just nodded his head. After hearing this, Sasuke excused himself and exited from the chamber. As he was leaving, he gave a dark look towards Naruto and left. After Sasuke left, Tsunade made it clear to everyone present that temari is to be treated with same respect as every other kunoichi is treated in the village, and whoever shows hostile behavior towards either Naruto or temari will severely be reprimanded. After the announcement, everyone was dismissed except for Naruto, who stayed back to talk some things with his mother. "So Naru-chan, what is it that you want to talk about?" Tsunade asked. Naruto was happy hearing how his mother called. It gave a sense of belonging to someone. He came near the chair nearby it, sat down and asked, "Ka-chan, I wanted to know all the details of this marriage and wanted to know whether the marriage can be dissolved at a later date." Tsunade was surprised hearing this but understood why Naruto asked that information. "No, Sochi, the marriage cannot be dissolved as you put it because this is an political marriage. It needs to be upheld, and as for the details, Temari will stay with you in the same house, and when she reaches the age of 15 a marriage ceremony will be held and you have to consummate the marriage that night and produce an heir before she reaches the age of 17, Tsunade said, not liking the idea of her son becoming a father at such a young age. Naruto stood still and didn't give a single reaction. Seeing no reaction from her son, Tsunade went near Naruto to knock him down, and when she went near him and saw him, she started to laugh. Shizune, who saw this, wondered what happened and went near Naruto, and when she reached, she saw the huge blush on Naruto's face. His eyes had rolled back and he had pulled a true Hinata Hyuga style feint no jutsu. XX. Inside the Senju compound, Naruto sat there on the sofa with a huge blush on his face as he had just received the talk from his mother and sister. When Tsunade and Shizune found out that Naruto had been left out of the ed class in the academy and never knew how babies were made, they took it upon themselves to give him the talk, as they didn't want some guy to give it to him and turn him into a pervert. "So Naru-chan, do you have any question?" asked Shizune. Naruto still had his head bent downwards and just shook his head, unable to see his sister in the eye. "All right, Sochi. I'm going to give you some money tomorrow to buy some supplies for the house since Temari will be joining you in a week," Tsunade said to Naruto. "Ka-chan, I don't know what all things need to be bought for a girl, and moreover no shop is going to sell things to me," Naruto replied with a deadpan expression. Tsunade just pinched the bridge of her nose. She couldn't believe how the village her grandfather had built had fallen. "I'll try my best to change that from now on, but for tomorrow take Shizune with you. She will know what to buy and the shop owners won't dare try anything with her." "Hi, arigato Ka-chan." 2 days later, Team 8 had just returned from their C-ranked mission. It was an escort mission of some noblemen. As they finished the briefing in the Hokage Tower, they were on their way home. Kurenai stopped her team and said, "All right team, you have tomorrow off. Rest well and meet at training ground 8 day after tomorrow at 10 in the morning." "Hi, sensei," chorused every member of Team 8 and went their separate ways. As Hinata was going towards her clan compound, she saw Ino and Sakura sitting in the park and chatting. She particularly liked Sakura as she didn't like the way Sakura treated her love, and she was jealous of how her crush was behind the pink-haired girl. As Hinata was about to pass them, Ino saw her. "Hinata, when did you get back?" Ino shouted to Hinata. "IJ just came back from RM mission," Hinata replied with her usual stutter. "Oh, that's good. Hey, did you hear the news about Naruto?" Sakura asked. "No, IJ just came back. What is this news about Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked with worry clearly evident in her voice. "Naruto is getting engaged in a week's time with that Suna girl from the Chunin exams," Sakura said a bit too happily. Hinata's world shattered in the moment the words left Sakura's mouth. Tears formed in her eyes and started to spill as she ran from there towards her house. Sakura looked confusedly in the direction in which Hinata ran. As she was watching, Ino elbowed Sakura lightly and said, screamed, "Forehead, you really should watch what you talk and how to tell something important to others." "What do you mean, Ino pig?" "I mean Hinata has a huge crush on Naruto since academy, and you didn't even think how she would feel when you said Naruto is getting engaged," Ino replied angrily. "Oh, it's her problem anyway. I'm going home now. I need to prepare for tomorrow's training," Sakura replied with no hint of remorse of her action. Ino just shook her head at Sakura's attitude and made her way home and stared to think about how to make Sasuke fall in love with her. At the same time, Hinata had run inside her room with tears in her eyes and curled into a ball and cried herself to sleep that night. In the Hyuga compound, members of the Hyuga clan had seen the state in which Hinata had returned to home last evening. The main branch members' thoughts cemented more as she had shown weakness openly by crying, whereas the branch members felt pity for her. The sun was just rising when Hinata woke up to the knocking of her door. As she woke up, she remembered the news of her Naruto's engagement and her face lost its liveliness. "Come in," she told the person who was knocking on the door. The slit opened and a Hyuga branch member came inside and said, "Hinata-sama, Hiyashi-sama has requested your presence in the training dojo and he has asked for you come prepared for a spar with Hanabi-sama." Hinata's mood sunk even further hearing she had to fight her sister again. "Hi, I will L be there in a few minutes," Hinata replied with a dejected tone. As the branch member made his way out of the room, Hinata moved to the bathroom and took a bath and out on her training clothes. After a few minutes made her way towards the training dojo. Inside the training dojo sat Hiyashi Hyuga, the clan head of the Hyuga clan, one of the most prestigious clan and noble clan of Konoha. Hiyashi was a strict person by nature and always thought of the clan before himself. He sat there waiting for his eldest daughter to arrive to see if she had improved in the clan's taijutsu. Hinata entered timidly inside the dojo and greeted her father. "Ohio Otu-sama, Amotu. Hinata, I've heard that your recent mission was a success and your sensei praised your part in the mission. I wish to see these improvements so you will have a spar with your sister now," Hiyashi said without even considering Hinata's greeting. "Hi," replied Hinata. "In this spar usage of chakra is allowed but only for your taijutsu," he said for both his daughters. As both Hinata and Hanabi took the traditional Jukin stance and readied themselves for the spar. "Hajime," Hiyashi called. The spar was totally one-sided and ended in a matter of few minutes with Hinata lying on the floor with most of her tenketsus closed. Hiyashi was thoroughly disappointed in his daughter and it could be seen on his face. As Hinata struggled to stand up, Hiyashi congratulated Hanabi on her win and asked her to return to her room. "Hinata, I'm very disappointed in you," Hiyashi said this as he was making his way towards the door. Just as he was about to leave, he heard Hinata tell something to him. He turned around and saw Hinata sitting on her knees with tears flowing down her cheeks saying something. He was angered by Hinata's outward show of emotion and screamed, "Whatever you're saying, speak loudly." "Oh Otu-sama, please kill me," Hinata said, just audible enough to be heard by Hiyashi. When Hiyashi heard those words, he felt as though he'd been slapped on his face. His body went stiff for a moment and tears formed in his eyes. His body collapsed onto the ground. No words came out of his mouth when he tried to speak. His brain couldn't comprehend what he had just heard. His daughter had asked him to kill her. Did she think he was such a cruel person? Just when that thought came in his head, he saw the memories of Hinata crying and how he was the cause of it in the past, and how after his wife had died he never once consoled Hinata, nor be there for any of her special moments in life, be it her first day of academy or the day of her graduation. That's when it dawned on him. He had pushed his daughter far away from his reach and had been so cold towards her that she would think her father would not be fazed by ending her life. Hinata, why are you talking like that?" Hiyashi asked. "Oh Otu-sama, I saw how you looked at me after the spar. I'm a disappointment to OYU and the C clan. I can't beat Hanabi-chan. My one motivation in this world is forever R out of MYY reach H," Hinata replied. "What motivation, Hinata?" Dreading to hear what her daughter couldn't reach. Naruto-kun. He is my motivation. I always believed that I would grow strong enough to walk beside him and tell him my feelings for him, but now I don't even have that chance. Oh Otu-sama, I'm tired of everything. The ridicule being the disappointment of clan and fearing for a life without Naruto-kun. Please kill me," Hinata said, crying without any stutter during the last part. Hinata didn't know what came over her. She had just told about her feelings towards Naruto in front of her father. she didn't if it was the stress from the constant failures in her life or the thought of losing Naruto forever from her life. As she finished talking, she felt exhaustion take over her as she hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon and soon feel forward with blackness taking over her, and the last thing she saw was her father running towards her. Hiyashi couldn't take it anymore. He ran towards Hinata and hugged her, all the while apologizing to her for his cold treatment towards her. When he looked at Hinata and saw that she had exhausted herself and had fallen asleep in his arms, he carried her to her room and laid her on her bed. "Rest, my daughter, I will bring your happiness back if it's the last thing I do," Hiyashi whispered in Hinata's ear. Hiyashi came out of Hinata's room and entered the clan's garden and sat down. He couldn't believe that he had caused his daughter this much misery in her life. At the same time, he couldn't believe that his daughter had fallen for the village Jinchuriki and was devastated by hearing the announcement of his engagement. He knew of the crush his daughter had for Naruto but always thought that it would fade away after some time. It was kind of his fault, as even he could understand why his daughter had fallen for the boy, with the boy's never say die attitude. Now he had to make sure of his daughter's safety, as he knew that his daughter might be lost to him if he didn't act now, and he had to think of something to help his daughter. It had been a few hours since Hiyashi had left Hinata's room. As Hiyashi was thinking, one of the branch members came running towards him and said in a panic-stricken voice, "Hiyashi-sama, Hinata-sama is not waking up." One of the servants went to her room to give her some food, but when she tried to wake her up, Hinata-sama wasn't responding. "The branch members have taken her to the hospital." For the first time after his wife died, Hiyashi felt fear at losing his daughter. He ran towards the hospital to see his daughter. Hiyashi reached the hospital and went to reception and asked, "In which room Hinata Hyuga is getting treated?" "Hyuga-sama, Lady Hinata is being treated in room 404. As soon as he heard it, he made a beeline towards the said room. As he reached the room, he saw Ko Hyuga standing outside the room. Hiyashi saw the doctor coming out of Hinata's room and went towards them. "Doctor, what's wrong with my daughter?" Hiyashi asked with concern in his voice. Both Ko and the doctor were surprised to hear this much emotion in Hiyashi's voice. "I'm afraid it isn't good news, Hyuga-sama. Your daughter is in a mental coma. It's almost as if she has lost her will to live. Physically she is fine, I can't help too much here, but my advice would be to have Tsunade-sama to check her once." After hearing the doctor, Hiyashi asked Ko to get an appointment with the Hokage for a meeting, for he needed to talk to her for all the problems. Tsunade didn't know what wrong had she done for her to deserve such punishments. She had been flooded with problems one after the other since she had arrived to the village, starting with the whole Naruto and Jiraiya, then Naruto and his adoption, and finally Naruto's marriage. Just when she thought all the headaches were finished, she now stood in front of a new headache. The said headache was Hiyashi Hyuga, clan head of the Hyuga clan. Tsunade didn't want to believe there could be such a harsh family, but after going through and reading Hinata's personal files and after her therapy sessions with Hinata, she just wanted to go to the Hyuga clan compound and kill most of the members, starting with the man standing in front of her. Flashback. "Hokage-sama, please come and see my daughter, she is in a mental coma." Hiyashi had barraged inside the Senju compound when he had been unable to get an immediate appointment from the Hokage. "Hiyashi, what is the meaning of this? You can't barge in like this," shouted an angry Tsunade. "I've just come back from the office, Hiyashi. I'll come and look at your daughter in the morning," Tsunade said with a tired sigh. "Hokage-sama, please, I beg you. I'll be more relieved if you checked her once," Hiyashi asked pleadingly. "Alright, let me just finish my dinner first," Tsunade replied and went to have her dinner as Hiyashi made his way to the outside of Senju compound to wait for Tsunade. Half an hour later, Tsunade maid came outside the compound and met Hiyashi. Both Hiyashi and Tsunade made it to the hospital, where Tsunade asked Hiyashi to stay outside and went inside to check on Hinata. After 3 hours so, Tsunade came outside. As she reached Hiyashi, he saw the angry expression on Tsunade's face and paled. As she came closer, he could feel the murderous aura coming from Tsunade. Tsunade slapped Hiyashi in front of everyone present in the hospital and started to shout at him. "What kind of a father are you? To treat your daughter in such a cruel way, and those elders, I'll kill them if I get the chance. Hiyashi didn't respond aggressively. He knew he deserved the slap. Hinata, is she okay? Hiyashi asked. Why would you care what happened to her? Isn't that how you raised her, letting her think she didn't mean anything to you? Tsunade snarled angrily at Hiyashi. Hokage-sama, I've realized that what I did was wrong. Please tell me, is my daughter okay? Hiyashi asked with complete sincerity in his voice. Tsunade could feel the sincerity in Hiyashi's voice, and she could see that he really cared about his daughter. She's all right now. I woke her up from her coma, but we need to discuss some things. Come to my office now. Hiyashi was overjoyed with the news of his daughter waking up. He just nodded his head, followed Tsunade to the Hokage's office. As soon both Tsunade and Hiyashi entered the office, Tsunade activated the privacy seal. Hiyashi, I'm really disappointed in you and your clan and how they have treated Hinata. The girl has almost no self-confidence in herself. She is searching for some form of positive acceptance, Tsunade said, clearly unhappy at the Hyuga. Do you know how fragile her mind has become? After she woke up, I asked her some questions casually. She was very hesitant at answering at first, but after she felt comfortable with me, she finally answered all the question and cried her heart out. Tsunade said sadly, as she couldn't think that a 13-year-old go through such emotional abuse at such an age. Tsunade's each word was hitting Hiyashi's ego very hard. He never knew that Hinata was this hurt by her family. Tsunade looked at Hiyashi and could clearly see the regret and guilt on Hiyashi's face as she thought of getting directly to the problem and try and improve the girl's life. Look here, Hiyashi, I know things seem quite bad for your daughter now, but we can help her, Tsunade said, trying to be reassuring to the Hyuga clan head. Hi, Hokage-sama, but what is the major problem we need to help her with? Hiyashi asked. Right now her major problem is depression at thinking that she does not have a chance to tell her feelings to Naruto, and even if she did, she is afraid of Naruto rejecting her, Tsunade said, rubbing her temples, as a lot of problems seem to revolving around her son. That I know, Hokage-sama, but my biggest task for now is earning Hinata's trust and show her I really do care for her, and I believe I know how to do it, but it can be done only with your help, Hokage-sama, Hiyashi said, begging the Hokage. End of flashback. Hiyashi, you do know what you are proposing is quite dangerous to both your daughter and Naruto, and I don't like it cause I look at him as my own son, Tsunade said, not quite sure what to do, as she wanted to look out for her son but also didn't want to see the Hyuga girl in any more pain. I know, Hokage-sama, but I'm confident in my ability as a diplomat and a negotiator to draw out an ironclad contract with complete protection both Naruto and Hinata, Hiyashi replied with complete confidence in his skills. Tsunade didn't like what was going to happen, but as medic she knew that Naruto needed someone from his age group to accept him even before he knew about his tenant. Though he hid it well, a skilled medic as herself could see that he was yearning for recognition from someone from his past. Alright, Hiyashi, I'll agree to this, but we can't force Naruto into this. My suggestion would be for Hinata herself to win over Naruto in the future, and your biggest task is to instill confidence in her and help her in her training, Tsunade said to Hiyashi. Hiyashi just nodded hearing this and knew he had a lot of effort in repairing things with his daughter. Alright, Hokage-sama, I'll prepare the contract and send a copy to you. After you read it, you can talk to your son about it and make him help understand, and I would like to talk to him after you have talked to him, Hiyashi replied. Alright, how much time do you require for the contract to be prepared? At least a month for it to be ironclad, and I request you to talk with Hinata and explain she still does have a chance with Naruto. Alright, I'll talk with her in the morning when I come for her checkup. Arigato, Hokage-sama, I'm in your debt for this. It's alright, Hiyashi, both of us are looking out for our children's happiness. Before we go, Hokage-sama, I just have one question, Hiyashi said. Tsunade raised her eyebrow at this and nodded for Hiyashi to ask. Hokage-sama, why do you care so much for the boy? Tsunade was honestly surprised with the question, but when she saw Hiyashi's face she could only see curiosity. She just sighed and said. He reminds me too much of my family. With that said, Tsunade made her way to the Senju compound. Hiyashi just smiled and made his way to the hospital thinking of all the arrangements to be done in the near future. As Hiyashi reached the hospital, he saw that the corridors were almost empty. He made his way towards the room his daughter was in. He opened the door and saw that Hinata was staring at the moon with some tears falling from her eyes. It pained him to see that his daughter was in so much pain, and he was the biggest reason for it. He entered the room and said, "Hinata." Hinata was looked to see her father standing inside her room. She cringed upon seeing him waiting for the tongue lash that she was about to receive. Hiyashi saw how Hinata cringed upon seeing his face. He resolved himself to set things right with his daughter. He got on his knees with his forehead touching the ground. "Hinata, my daughter, I'm sorry for everything. Please try and forgive this fool of a father of yours." Hinata was shocked to see and hear her father say those things to her, and what more shocked her was the emotion in his voice, which showed regret and guilt. Otu-sama. In Suna. Temari was on her way towards the training ground where her youngest brother was training. She was happy for the first time in a long time. She was genuinely happy. Her brother was back to her. He was more sane and he was showing more and more emotion when he would be with her. On the other hand, she was sad as she had to leave for Konoha tomorrow. Both her brothers had told her that they would travel to Konoha with her. She couldn't believe her luck. Just as she had gotten back her family, she would lose it. Her musings ended when she reached the training ground and saw her brother meditating. She went near him and stood there for him to finish. After a few minutes, Gaara looked up to see his sister standing next to him. "Temari, good to see you. Shall we go to the restaurant for dinner?" Temari couldn't help but sigh. Even though her brother was talking more, now he was too direct than required. "Hi Gaara, come on, let's go." Temari and Gaara made their way towards the restaurant where Kankuro was waiting for both them. "Took you both long enough to come," Kankuro said as he saw his siblings. Kankuro was shocked when his sister had told what happened with Gaara and didn't believe her at first, but the next day when Gaara had approached him and apologized for his actions, he was shocked. As the shock wore off, he hugged his brother for just a second and told him excitedly that he would be the best brother to him and told him. The next day Kankuro had went to Gaara's room and said that as big brother he needed teach his brother about girls and had given him a little orange book as a gift. To his bad luck, his sister had arrived at the same time and saw the book and had beaten Kankuro severely for trying to corrupt her little brother. After that incident, the siblings had started to behave as normal siblings would behave. Kankuro would annoy both Gaara and Temari would beat him. For the first time, the siblings felt they were a real family. Kankuro, stop irritating Temari. Let's go, I'm hungry, Gaara said neutrally as he went inside the restaurant. The siblings finished their dinner and Gaara made his way back to the training grounds to continue his training. "Can you believe that we used to be scared of him just a month back?" Kankuro asked Temari. "No, I can't, but we have to thank Uzumaki Naruto for changing him," replied Temari. "Yes, we do. Nei-san, I know that you aren't happy going away from us and the whole marriage thing." "Yes, I'm not happy with either, but for the good of the village I have to do this." "Nei-san, I might not know too much about this, but I think you should talk with this Naruto when you reach Konoha. He seems like a nice enough guy, and if he tries anything, let's just say me and Gaara will take care of him. Treaty be damned." Hearing her brother tell this made Temari more emotional. Tears of happiness formed in her eyes and she just made her way towards her home. The day had passed very quickly for Temari. She was getting nervous about leaving her brothers alone. She had packed all necessary items for her stay in Konoha. She heard a knock on her door. "The door is open, come in." Baki entered the room and looked at Temari and greeted her. "Ohio Temari, are you ready for the journey?" "Hi sensei, let's go." "Temari, this is for you." Baki handed her a chunin vest. "We wanted to promote you before you leave and you deserved it," Baki said with a sad smile. "Arigato sensei. This means a lot to me." Temari took the vest and sealed it within a scroll. Baki and Temari made their way towards the gates of Suna where a group of people stood. As she came close, she could see a few of them were the council members. Temari made her way towards where her brothers were standing and greeted Kankuro with a light punch and a hug to Gaara, to which Kankuro just pouted. This was Temari's way of saying that Gaara was very special to her. Kankuro though acted as if he was disappointed. He was glad to see that Gaara got some sort of motherly affection. After the greetings were finished, the group left for Konoha. They knew this was a monumental step towards achieving a strong treaty with Konoha. For Temari, this was her journey towards a new life, a life full of surprises which could be good or bad, which she didn't know. Naruto was ecstatic as he had just finished his training on taijutsu and he definitely could feel that he was improving. The other reason for his happiness was that the ability of shadow clones which his father had told had been true. Currently he had created 100 clones which were divided into 4 groups, with each group practicing chakra control, some elemental ninjutsu, and calligraphy and reading books on strategy. When Naruto had met his father and after some mind-boggling revelation, Naruto decided to ask his father some training tips. His father had asked about his jutsu arsenal and was very disappointed when he heard he knew only 2 jutsu apart from the Henjin Kawarami. Yondaime didn't want his son to be unprepared in the shinobi world and had suggested his son to learn some elemental ninjutsu and also had told him he could use Kage Bunshin for training except for physical exercises. By the time it was time for Minato to leave his son, he had talked about most of his experiences as a shinobi and had told that when Naruto would attempt to take control of Kyuubi's chakra he would be able to meet his mother. When Naruto heard about his mother he had asked about her. Minato told everything about Kushina, from her attitude and how Naruto resembled her in his brashness to the verbal tick in talking. When Naruto heard that even his mother had the same verbal tick he felt happy. A feeling of warmth had spread across his chest and he wanted to meet her as soon as possible. That's when Minato had told him that he needed to be stronger to challenge the Kyuubi and take the Kyuubi's chakra. When Naruto got to know that his mother's clan were master at Fuinjutsu, he had decided to honor them by studying the art and make the Uzumaki name proud. After returning to Konoha he had gone to a shinobi weapons store and had taken the chakra paper to find his affinity, and after pouring some chakra to the paper had split in half, with one part getting damp and the other part crumbled. Naruto got confused at that and tried again to get the same results. Frustrated he finally looked at the manual and read, "If it splits in half you have wind affinity." He hadn't bothered to read the rest of the manual and made his way towards the training ground to practice his affinity. After sending some clones to retrieve some wind jutsus and books on tactics from the shinobi library, he made his way to one of the training grounds. In the starting he had problems with the jutsus. He tried to find Kakashi sensei and ask for some pointers, but wasn't able to find him. As he was searching for Kakashi he came across Azuma and Kurenai walking hand in hand. Both the senseis saw Naruto and distanced themselves a little and asked him what he was doing. Naruto replied he was searching for Kakashi sensei and wanted to ask for some pointers for his wind jutsu. Azuma was shocked to hear that another person had the same affinity as him and asked how Naruto knew about his affinity, where Naruto lied he learned it from Jiraiya. The Jonins took the answer. As Naruto was leaving, Azuma called out and told Naruto to imagine the chakra into 2 thin blades while performing any wind jutsu and told Naruto to cut a leaf in half to get a good feel of wind chakra. Naruto nodded at this and went back to the training field and did as asked. Currently he could cut 1/3 of a leaf. As Naruto was contemplating about his training, he heard some footsteps and saw that his sister had come to see him. "Hey Shizune Ne-chan, what are you doing here?" "Naruto, what are you doing here? I've been looking for you, and why aren't you ready?" "I thought Tsunade-sama told you to be ready for today. The Suna envoy will arrive in a few hours. You need to be present with the Hokage to greet them." Hearing this, Naruto started to panic and run around screaming. "What? I need to take a shower and get ready. Ka-chan is going to kill me." Shizune couldn't help but laugh at Naruto's antics and spoke loudly. "Naruto, go home and take a shower and get ready and come near the village gate directly. I'll go and tell Tsunade-sama that you'll meet us directly near the gate." Hearing his sister's suggestion, Naruto commanded his clones to dispel in group of 10 with a 10-minute interval and ran as fast as possible towards his house. Shizune just laughed at Naruto and saw the army of clones. She was always impressed by the sheer number of Kage Bunshin he could create. As soon as he reached his home, he quickly took a shower and got ready, and out of habit his hand reached for his favorite orange jumpsuit, but his mother's word came inside his mind and he moved away his precious jumpsuit. He put on a dark blue muscle t-shirt and some black anbu pants and his usual ninja sandals and tied his hishiate on his forehead and made his way towards the village gate. As he reached the gate, he saw that his mother had not yet arrived and let out a breath he was holding. Phew. Saved, Ka-chan isn't here still. Oh, I wouldn't say that now, Naru-chan, Tsunade replied, standing behind Naruto with a sweet smile on her face. When Naruto turned his head slowly and saw that smile, a shiver went down his spine. Sochi, why aren't wearing the kimono that I bought you for such formal occasion? Ahem. Ka-chan, I didn't know how to wear one, so I thought I would ask your help later, and I didn't want to be late, so I came wearing this, Naruto replied, hoping his mother would buy the lie. Alright Sochi, you saved yourself this time. Anyway, do you remember what to say when you meet Temari? Tsunade asked Naruto. Hi. Ka-chan, remember them, don't worry, Naruto replied. Alright, they should be here in around 15 minutes, Tsunade said. After 10 minutes, the Suna envoy reached the gates of Konoha and saw the Hokage she herself standing and waiting with some members of the council. As customary, Temari had ridden in the carriage, and when they stopped in front of the Konoha gates, Temari got down from the carriage and saw the Hokage in her Hokage clothes standing regally, and next to her stood the boy she was supposed to marry. The boy had changed his attire from orange to dark clothes. Greetings and welcome to Konohagakure no Sato. I am Senju Tsunade Godime, Hokage of Konoha, and I'm most pleased to formally welcome you. She looked at Naruto to say his part, but what she saw made her chuckle as her son was looking at Temari without blinking and with a small blush on his face. The reason for said reaction was the bride-to-be, as she was wearing an milk-white kimono with red rose petals falling around them, and the kimono hugged her body just enough to show her curves. Naruto felt someone elbowing him and turned to see his sister elbowing him with a smirk on her face. Naruto blushed a bit more and shook his head a bit to clear the blush and nervously faced Temari, nervously bowed and spoke the phrase his Ka-chan had hammered into his head. I welcome you, Temari. My water is yours and I wish you shade and safety. Temari stared in complete shock. She had not been expecting the traditional greeting of a Sunagakure groom to his bride. Snapping out of her reverie, Temari bowed in return. I greet you, Naruto. I am thankful for the honor. May you always find water and may our home be blessed with shade. Temari eyed Naruto carefully. He looked a lot more serious than she remembered. He was loud and wild during the preliminaries, but now he had the presence of the warrior who defeated her brother. Everyone must be tired from the journey. Why don't you all go and rest in the hotel which has been prepared for you? Tsunade said to the Suna envoy. Everyone just nodded and started to go with their escorts, as Temari and her brothers were going. Temari, you can stay with Naruto as you need to get used to it. Tsunade said to Temari, to which Temari just nodded. Naruto just paled hearing what his mother had said and turned around and wanted to refuse it, but saw Temari nodding and sighed. Just then he saw Gaara standing and shouted. Gaara, how are you? Gaara just looked at Naruto and let a small smile creep up his face and just nodded, saying he was fine. Gaara, why don't you come and stay with me till you leave, and you can bring your brother also? Naruto asked. Gaara looked confused at this and wondered why Naruto was asking him this. Naruto looked at the confusion on the face and came near Gaara and whispered. Your sister will feel more comfortable if you both stay with her till you leave. Hearing this, Gaara nodded his consent. When Naruto told this to Tsunade and Temari were shocked but agreed with his reasoning. Everyone made their way towards their respective destination and thought about tomorrow, which would reveal more secrets to them. So how was the chapter? Please read and review, it motivates me. Update quickly. The greeting part between Temari and Naruto is taken directly from Council's Folly. In the reviews, a lot of people have asked, will this be a harem? The Sand siblings were completely astounded as they made their way towards Naruto's house. A month back they were attacking on this place and trying to destroy it. Now one of them would have to live their life here. Temari was growing nervous thinking of the kind of treatment she would get from the general populace of Konoha. They arrived at Naruto's house and Temari was a little impressed with it. The house was by means not a mansion but a simple duplex. As she entered the house she saw that it was a typical boy's house which needed a bit of woman's touch. Alright guys, let me give you a tour of the house, it won't take long. Naruto said to the siblings. The trio of sand ninja nodded to this and followed Naruto. This the ground floor, it has only living room, kitchen and a guest room, this where you guys can sleep for now. If you are not comfortable sharing a bed then one of you has to take the couch. Before Naruto could continue Gaara spoke. I don't need sleep, Kankuro can take the room. Kankuro wanted to argue but stopped as he saw Gaara's face which showed he was in no mood to argue. Fine, Kankuro replied. This where my room and Temari's room is located, Naruto said. Temari was once again surprised to hear this from the blonde. She thought they had to stay in the same room even if they weren't married. She knew they would be engaged in a few days and couple who are politically engaged tended to stay in the same room to show the society that their relationship would be a success. Gaara and Kankuro, can you both give me and some Temari some time? I need to talk with her about some things, Naruto asked in a serious tone. Both Gaara and Kankuro were surprised to hear the seriousness in the Naruto's voice and just nodded and made their way downstairs. Temari was getting nervous about this talk. She thought that she would talk with him after a few days but she wasn't prepared to talk with him now. Temari-san, I wanted you to know that I've agreed to this marriage only for the sake of my village and I believe even you must have agreed for the same reason, Naruto asked. Hi. I never thought that I would be used as a bargaining chip for my village but as a kunoichi I needed to think about the safety of my village, so I agreed. Temari replied. Temari-san, before we both dive inside this relationship I wanted you to know some things about me, Naruto said with a hint of sadness inside his voice. Temari was curious as to what the news was, as it was important enough for him to say to her now as she didn't miss the sadness in his voice. Temari-san, I'm not well liked in the village, no, I'm downright hated by most of the village. I'm just like your brother, I have a tailed beast sealed inside of me as well, and if you marry me you will most likely be treated in the same way as me by the villagers. I'm saying this now because I don't want you to ruin your life by getting married to me, Naruto said to Temari with his head hung down. Temari was completely surprised by the blonde's words. No, she was not surprised by the news of him being a Jinchuriki as she figured it out when Gaara had told her that Naruto was just like him. No, she was surprised by his pure heart. He was giving her a way out of this marriage as nobody knew about this news about him apart from Gaara and she could bring it up with the council and cancel the whole marriage. But if she did that, will she be any different from the people who treated her brother wrongly simply because of what was inside of him? No. This boy here had helped her brother and brought her family back to her. At the least she could do was so show him that not everybody thought of him as monster. Even if no love was possible for them in this relationship, there could be a bond of trust between them and a bond of friendship. She decided to embrace this relationship with him and try to make it work. Temari hugged Naruto fiercely and spoke to him with a few tears falling from her eyes. Naruto, I know about you. It's not hard to figure it out when my brother told me that you were like him, and I want you to know that I'm fine with it. As for not marrying you, let's just say if I say no they will marry me off to someone else and I don't want that. I'd rather marry someone I know. My brother speaks highly of you. You brought him back to me and for that I'm forever in your debt. Let's try and be friends for now. We can think about other stuff later in the future. Naruto was shocked that Temari was accepting him. For now he had a new friend in his life who would accept him for whom he was. Arigato Temari-san, I'll try my best to be your friend, believe it. Naruto said to Temari with full conviction in his voice. Temari just giggled at his proclamation and thought. Definitely a better choice than the broody Uchiha. And Naruto, none of this sand stuff, just call me by my name and I'll call you by your name. Hi Temari. Both just laughed once again and made their way towards the living room where Gaara and Kankuro were sitting. Tsunade smiled as she saw the whole event through the crystal ball in the Hokage chamber. Even though Shizune had scolded Tsunade about invading Naruto's privacy, Tsunade had said that she was doing some protective surveillance on her son. My Sochi will be fine with this girl. I just need to talk to her once, Tsunade thought to herself. Hinata was smiling as she made her way towards her clan compound. The reason for her happiness was the talk the Hokage had with her before she was released from the hospital. Flashback. Ohio Hinata. Tsunade greeted Hinata as she entered the room. Ohio Hokage-sama. Hinata greeted back. How are you doing, Hinata? Feeling better? Tsunade asked. I'm alright, Hokage-sama, Hinata replied sadly. Hinata, I know the reason for your sadness and I wish to tell you something that might help you, Tsunade said to Hinata. Hinata was curious as to what might help her as she couldn't think of anything which could help her. Hinata, what I'm about to say cannot be said outside until it's announced. If the news gets out, then Naruto's life will be in danger. Hinata was now very alert. She didn't want anything to happen to her love. Hokage-sama, whatever it is, I won't say it to anyone. Hinata, I want you to listen to me without interrupting me. Alright, Tsunade said. To which Hinata just nodded. Hinata, Naruto is from Uzumaki clan. He recently found out about it. His mother was from this clan. Naruto is the last of his clan in Konoha, and when he reaches the rank of Chunin he will be granted clan status. I believe you can understand where this is going. Hinata was surprised by this revelation about Naruto. When she heard that he was the last of his clan, she understood what was going to be said. Hinata nodded her head at Tsunade, with a light smile on her face. Hinata, since you already know about CRA, I won't explain it, but I want to make it clear to you that you have to earn your love from Naruto. Do you know the difference between you and the rest of the fangirls? Tsunade asked. Hinata just shook her head. You at least try and improve yourself by training your kunoichi skills. I'll be honest with you, the way you are right now, I don't think you will be able to win Naruto's affection. Tsunade said to Hinata honestly. Hinata's face fell once again as the Hokage just outright said that she was not worthy of Naruto's feelings. But, I know you have the will to change that. I want you to improve your confidence, skills. I want you to get Naruto to notice you for who you are. I'm willing to help you in that regard, but are you willing to improve yourself? Tsunade asked the pale-eyed beauty. Hi, Hokage-sama, for Naruto-kun I'll improve myself. Hinata replied with fierce determination shining in her eyes. Tsunade smiled at hearing this declaration and ruffled the hair on Hinata's head. Alright then, I'm going to assign you a mentor apart from Kurenai who will help you with your issues. I'm warning you, for the foreseeable future you will be very busy with all your training. Hinata smiled once again and nodded her head at this. You will be released from the hospital today. You can return to your compound but rest for a few more days before commencing training and inform your sensei about this, Tsunade said as she was leaving the room. Hinata was happy, for now she still had the chance to gain her beloved's love for her. Flashback end. Hinata entered the clan compound and made her way towards her father's study to talk to him about Hokage-sama's offer. Hinata knocked on the door and entered the study when she got the permission from her father. Otu-sama. Hinata, it's good to see you back. I hope you talked with Hokage-sama cleared everything for you, Hiyashi said to Hinata with a small smile on his face. Hi Otu-sama. Lady Tsunade will be assigning a new mentor for me along with Kurenai-sensei to train. That's good, and I hope your training will be helpful for you to achieve your dream. Hiyashi said to Hinata. Arigato Otu-sama. I'll try my best. With that said, Hinata started to move out of her father's study. Hinata, before you go, come here for a minute, Hiyashi asked Hinata. Here, pour some of your chakra into this paper, Hiyashi said to Hinata as he handed her a chakra paper. Hinata did as she was asked by her father and poured some of her chakra into the paper. The paper reacted by dampening at the center and crumpling at the edges. Hiyashi looked amazed while Hinata looked confused at this reaction. No wonder you were having problems with your Jukin. I should have checked your affinity long time back. Hiyashi said to Hinata. What are you saying, Otu-sama? Hinata asked with confusion clear on her face. Hinata, as you know, the Jukin style is based on earth affinity with rigid katas, but your natural affinity is the opposite of that, hence you have problem with your Jukin. Hinata's face fell with sadness at hearing this. Hiyashi saw this and told her. It's not a problem, Hinata. My mother also had the same problem. She created a new style of Jukin for herself and for anyone who had the affinity of water in the clan. I'll bring out those scrolls for you to practice from the library. Hiyashi said. Hinata's face got some more hope as she now knew the problem for her inability to perform classic Jukin and her father's help along with her mentor's help she could improve herself. This had to be one of the happiest days for her since her mother died. Dinner at Naruto's house had gone pretty smoothly. Temari and her brothers were impressed with Naruto's cooking skill. They all wanted to rest as they had a long day and made their way towards their respective rooms. As soon as everyone left, Gaara made his way towards Naruto's room. He knocked once and entered the room and saw the blonde had already changed into his sleeping attire. Naruto saw Gaara standing near his room and invited him to his room. Uzumaki, I wish to speak to you. Come with me to the roof, Gaara said and made his towards the roof. Naruto didn't really think much and just followed Gaara to the roof of the house. Gaara stood there watching the stars in the clear night sky. Wind blew gently in the direction of the forest which could be seen from the house. The whole scene was giving a calming effect to the sand Jinchuriki. Hey Gaara, what is it that you wanted to talk to me about? Naruto asked Gaara as he came and stood beside him. Uzumaki, I wanted to thank you for sparing me and teaching the right way for gaining strength, Gaara said bluntly. Hey, no need for thanks and all, Gaara. How could I not help you when I saw the same eyes as mine, and no need to use surname and all, you can call me Naruto. Naruto said, a bit embarrassed. Gaara just nodded his head and continued. Naruto, I wanted to understand a bit of your pain. I'm still trying to figure out how to come out of my hate-filled past and how I can get the people of my village to acknowledge me. Naruto was surprised by this request as he still hadn't earned the acknowledgement of the entire village. Gaara, first tell me how the people of your villagers treated you and then I'll tell you my pain. In my village, people were scared. They would give me a look which showed fear towards me. Whenever I went to play with children of age, they would even let me near them. The sand wouldn't let anyone touch me, and I didn't know what it felt like to be touched by anyone other than myself or the warmth of a mother. I recently experienced it with temari about love and all sort of different feelings. Gaara finished. Naruto was convinced that it wasn't Gaara's fault that he had turned into homicidal maniac. Well, Gaara, I can't say that my life was as bad as yours, but in some cases it was worse than yours. My life here was very bad. People refused to acknowledge my presence. They used to refer me as it, like I was some kind of thing. For the first 4 years of my life I didn't even know what my name was. Only after I was thrown out from the orphanage at the age of 4 and when I was found by the Sandaime Hokage did I get to know that my name was Uzumaki Naruto. I didn't know how to read and write as no one would teach me, and when I went to academy my education was sabotaged by my own senseis. To get people's attention towards me I resorted to pulling pranks. Only after I met the Ichiraku ramen stand owner and his daughter did I have some social interaction, and after some time Iruka sensei came into my life and tried his best to help me. While your village hated you, they acknowledged your presence, but my village downright neglected me. You are lucky you couldn't sleep, because when I was younger I would wake up from a nightmare and would find no one to comfort me. I would just stare at an empty apartment and cry myself to sleep again. Naruto said with tears falling from his face. Gaara still couldn't believe how this person survived and didn't become a monster like he used to be. But now I have some people who care for me as though I'm a part of their family, Naruto finished with a smile on his face. Gaara, on my first mission outside the village I met a person who told me that true strength comes only when we have someone precious to protect. I wish to be strong, Gaara, so I can protect everyone who is precious to me. You and sister are precious to me because I consider you as one of my friend, and your sister because even after knowing about my burden she is willing to be my friend. Naruto said as he hugged Gaara with a smile on his face. Gaara was stunned at the contact and returned the hug. he now knew his sister would be safe with Naruto. Naruto, I just wanted to tell you, Temari is like my mother to me, please don't hurt her in any way. Naruto pulled away from Gaara and smiled brightly at him and said, Gaara, I promise to keep your sister always happy and try my best not to hurt her intentionally, believe it. Gaara just nodded and sat down to look at the stars, and Naruto joined him. Unknown to them, Temari had heard their conversation. As she had seen Naruto follow Gaara to the roof, she was curious as to what the two of them would do. Temari, after hearing her brother and Naruto explain what they had to go through in their childhood, had started to cry, but when she heard her brother say he thought of her as his mother, she ran back to her room. She cried her eyes out in her room and decided to help out both her brother and her future husband to the best of her ability. She knew she had a lot to fix, with the emotional scar on both of their hearts, but she would do it. She slept after a few minutes as the day's exhaustion took over her. Morning came quickly to the residence of Konoha as Temari and Naruto were already up and getting ready to meet the Hokage for the swearing-in ceremony of Temari as a kunoichi of Konoha. Ohio Temari, want to have some breakfast? Naruto greeted Temari as she came down from her room. Hi Naruto, so what have you prepared for breakfast? Temari asked as she made her way towards the dining table. Eggs and bacon, nothing special, Naruto replied as he served her some of the breakfast. Temari smiled at this gesture and ate them. She was still surprised as he clearly was a better cook than her. You really are a wonderful cook, Naruto. I'm really a lucky girl, Temari teased Naruto. Naruto just blushed at the praise he received and scratched the back of his neck. They both finished their breakfast in relative silence, as they both finished and made their way towards the Hokage tower. Temari, where are your brothers? Naruto asked. Oh, they both left to meet with Baki-sensei and the other members of the Suna envoy. Oh, alright, so do you have anything in mind to do after the swearing ceremony? Naruto asked Temari. Nothing much, why do you ask? Temari asked. Oh, I thought you might want to get a tour of the village, Naruto told Temari. Temari was once again pleasantly surprised by Naruto's offer. Okay Naruto, after we finish the swearing-in ceremony you can take me on the tour of the village. Temari said happily. Naruto was happy to see Temari reacting positively to his efforts to get to know one another. Naruto and Temari made their way towards the Hokage tower and entered the chamber to see all the important parties present in the chamber. Since everyone has come, we shall start the proceedings, Tsunade said to everyone in the chamber. Temari, come forward and repeat after me. Temari came forward and repeated all the vows said by Tsunade. After the ceremony was completed, Temari was given a Konoha Hayate and Chunin flak jacket. All the members of the Suna envoy soon left after finalizing the marriage contract, which would be activated when Temari reached the age of 16. Naruto, go outside and wait for Temari. I need to talk with her about some important matters, Tsunade said to Naruto. Naruto saw the seriousness in his mother's face and made his way outside the room and waited for Temari. So what is it you wish to talk with me, Hokage-sama? Temari asked Tsunade. I have a lot of things to discuss, but the most important thing to discuss would be about his clan and his inclusion in CRA. Temari made her way into the streets of Konoha with a determined expression on her face. As she walked, she remembered all the things she heard from Tsunade, especially the reason for CRA. Although she had to agree with the logic and the circumstances surrounding her future husband, she just wasn't comfortable with the idea. She couldn't help but sigh thinking about the past few months of her life. It was like a roller coaster with more downs than ups. Firstly, her village had attacked their ally and had been soundly defeated. Her brother had some sense knocked into him, and next she was thrown into a political marriage but was saved from becoming a breeding machine to the Uchiha clan. And lastly, her soon-to-be husband was last of two powerful clans and he had to have several wives to rebuild his clan. She just couldn't digest the news. Her husband had left the message that he would be at home. She decided that she would go home and rest and made her way towards the house. As she reached the house, she found Naruto sitting on the floor with number of scrolls opened. he was studying a scroll with the kanji for futon. Are those scrolls for wind jutsus? Temari asked. Naruto turned around to see Temari and replied, yes, I just found out that I have a wind affinity and was reading to train in it. That's amazing, even I have wind affinity, it's good to see someone with the same affinity as mine. Temari said happily with a smile on her face. What? I thought that there would be tons of wind users in Suna, since it is called Land of Wind. Naruto asked Temari. Temari looked annoyed at the statement Naruto made. That's a common misconception. The most common element in our village is Doden. After Iwa we have the most number of Doden users. Temari said. Naruto just nodded at that and gestured for Temari to join him. Seeing him call out to her, she went beside him and looked over the scrolls. She was impressed by the arsenal of jutsus, but all of them were below B rank. At that a thought came to her. Naruto, how good are you with wind jutsus? Temari asked. Naruto just stared at her and took a thinking pose and replied. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know any wind users in our village and I don't think they would teach me, Naruto said with a hint of sadness in his voice. Naruto, it's okay. No need to be saddened by it. I'm a wind user and if it's alright I could show you some control exercises, Temari said as she placed a hand on the blonde's shoulder. Naruto's face brightened as soon as hearing this and he gave Temari a sweet smile which also made Temari smile seeing the genuine happiness on his face. So let's see how strong is your affinity so we can know how to start the training. Oh okay, let me get those chakra papers and see once again. Naruto went inside his room and brought a few chakra papers to show Temari. Naruto molded his chakra and sent it to the paper. The reaction was immediate as the paper split in half with one half crumbled and the other half got sogged. Temari's eyes bulged out of her socket as she saw the chakra paper. She had heard people having two affinities but most of them were Kekkei Genkai users, but she had never seen anyone with three natural affinities with equal amount of power. Temari, is something wrong? Why are you looking like that? Naruto asked. Naruto's voice broke Temari out of her shock. She just shook her head and asked. Naruto, why didn't you tell that you had three affinities? Ah, what do you mean three affinities? I thought I only had wind affinity, Naruto asked with clear confusion on his face. Tell me who was present when you checked your affinity the first time, Temari asked, doubting that someone didn't tell Naruto purposely to sabotage him. I was alone when I did that. I read the manual, it said that if the paper splits in half you have wind nature and I didn't bother to read any further. Naruto said with an embarrassed look on his face. Temari face-palmed hearing this, still replied. Naruto, you have three affinities, wind, water and earth respectively with equal strength. Naruto got really excited hearing this and started to shout. Yada, I'm awesome. Temari just smiled seeing her husband so excited. Naruto, not to rain on your celebration, but you really have to work hard since you have to train for all the affinities equally. Naruto stopped his awesomeness ranting and looked at Temari. After hearing Temari's words he just smiled again and gave her a look which said, I know what to do. Don't worry Temari, I know what to do to improve my training. Alright Naruto, how about we spar once? I want to see where I stand against you, that way we both can help each other. Hi, that's a good idea. Come on, we can use one of the training ground in Senju compound. Naruto said as he made his way towards the Senju compound and Temari just followed him. Both of them reached the training ground. Temari was impressed seeing the state of the training ground. The whole terrain was basically made in a way to help Konoha shinobi to adjust to other terrains when locked in battle. Wow, this training ground is very well maintained, Temari said to Naruto who was stretching and warming up. Yeah, Ka-chan told me that her Ba-chan placed some seals throughout the Senju compound which automatically keeps the whole compound well maintained, one just has to add chakra at regular intervals. Naruto replied without stopping his stretches. Ka-chan. Naruto, you didn't tell me that your mother was a Senju. Temari asked. Ah, no Temari, my mother isn't a Senju, I call Tsunade as my Ka-chan, I feel that she is like my mother in all but blood. Temari smiled inwardly, knowing at least Naruto had someone whom he can depend. Oh, alright, if you're finished with warming up, let's begin. I can't wait to wipe the floor with you. Temari said with a smirk on her face. Naruto gave a smirk of his own and got into his stance, and the spar began. After half an hour of sparring, both the blondes were on their knees panting, trying to catch their breath. I must say, Naruto, you really are very strong with the jutsu or force now you have right now, and I wasn't even able to predict what would be your next move. Temari said to Naruto. Naruto just smiled hearing the praise which he got from Temari. Even you were awesome, Temari-chan. I had no idea that your battle fan could be used to make such massive damage. I'm kinda lucky that you missed when you used them on me. Naruto said, smiling. Temari was happy that he didn't admonish her skills or went easy on her because of her gender, and she didn't miss the affectionate suffix he used along with her name. Oh, I'm Temari-chan now. Ah, I didn't think you would be so bold, Naruto. Temari asked teasingly. Naruto just blushed at the teasing and tried to sputter out some nonsense but failed miserably. Oh, don't worry, Naruto, I was just teasing you. I talked to the Hokage and she told me some things about you, and I understand how you feel about relations and friendship. Temari said with a light smile on her face. Naruto just sighed in relief and got back up and sat next to Temari. Hey Temari-chan, mind if I ask you some question? Sure. Why did your village choose me as the groom instead of Uchiha? Temari wasn't surprised by this question, as she had already been asked the same question by Tsunade and Shizune during their meeting. The council really wanted to me to marry the Uchiha, but Gaara stormed inside the meeting hall and pretty much threatened that if I was to marry anyone, it would be you and no one else. Oh, I never knew Gaara thought so highly of me. I just hope I can keep you happy. Naruto replied with a nervous tone. Naruto, I don't know a lot about you, but from what the Hokage told me, I know that we can make this relationship work. If you don't mind, can you tell me a bit more about yourself? Temari asked. What do you want to know about me and why? Naruto asked. I know this might sound a bit weird, but I want to help you in any way possible for bringing my brother back to me. Temari said with a sincere smile on her face. Hey, you don't need to say things like that. I helped Gaara because he reminded me of myself a few years back and I couldn't bear to see the pain in his eyes. Naruto replied. Okay, stop changing the subject and tell me a bit about you, Temari asked. After hearing her, Naruto told her all his hardships from his time in orphanage and living alone in an apartment at the age 6. He did leave out the more mind-numbing details such as his thoughts of suicide. That's pretty much it. My life till now hasn't had any prolonged happy days, only brief moments of happiness. He finished and turned towards Temari to see her. Temari was crying. She had told herself that she wouldn't cry after hearing her brother and Naruto talk last night, but she couldn't control the tears as she heard his story and seeing the emotions play out on his face. When she saw Naruto looking at her, she hugged him fiercely. Naruto tensed slightly at the sudden contact, but after a few hugged her back a bit hesitantly. It's Naruto, you don't need to be alone anymore. I'll always be there for you. I won't let any harm come to you. From today you'll have a friend who'll protect you no matter what. Naruto smiled. He knew somehow that Temari meant what she said. He felt a bit more hope in his life, a bit more of hope for happiness. She had said she would be his friend, and that was more than enough for him now. Arigato, Temari. Temari literally could feel the emotions in his voice, and she was happy that what Tsunade said was true. Flashback. So what is that you wish to talk with me, Hokage-sama? Temari asked Tsunade. I have a lot of things to discuss with you, but the most important thing to discuss would be about Naruto and his clan and his inclusion in CRA. What? Naruto is from a clan? Temari shouted in shock. Hi, let me finish telling you all that you are required to know, Naruto. You can ask questions later, alright? Getting a nod from Temari to continue, Tsunade said. Temari, I hope you know of the Uzumaki clan from Uzu, the village which was destroyed during the Second Shinobi War. Naruto is the only living member of the head branch of the Uzumaki clan, so in short he is the heir to the Uzumaki clan and Uzu. Temari didn't know what to feel now. she would be married into the Uzumaki clan, and she had read about the clan and knew the fearsome reputation they had garnered during their reign. She had read the supremacy they held in the field of fuinjutsu and kenjutsu. I thought that all the Uzumakis had red hair. Temari asked. You do know your history well, Temari. Yes, Uzumaki were known for their red hair, but my Gaki here inherited his hair from his father. Tsunade replied. So you know about his parents. Does Naruto know about his parents? Yes, Temari, Naruto knows about his parents and his lineage, but can't tell you who they are. Only Naruto can tell you who they are. Don't pressure him to tell you, he'll tell you when he feels he can trust you. Oh, okay, I'll wait for him to tell me. So is this the reason that he will be included in CRA? Temari asked. Yes, that is one of the reasons. To be honest, he is literally heir to 2 clans, but I can't tell you the name of the other clan for security reasons and threat to you in the village if it got public. Temari now was literally shocked. Her husband was heir to 2 clans and the other clan could not even be named because of threat to her and Naruto in the village. Okay, I'm curious to know about this clan and I understand the reason for CRA. Is there any other thing I need to know? Yes, to be honest, I wanted the Gaki to be married at least a few years later with a girl he loved, but when I came back to the village, I knew that the Gaki would not have anyone to love to because of his tenant and the hate the villagers have passed down to their children. Temari could understand what Tsunade meant. It would be the same case for her brother in Suna. She hoped that some girl would come in her brother's life and help him. But when I saw your village's proposal, I got a slight hope that Naruto might get a chance at love in the future, and just when I thought that all would be good, I got another shock. What do you mean, Hokage-sama? Tsunade then proceeded to tell about Hinata and the whole situation. So what I'm planning to do is have both you and Hinata train under a single Jonin. The particular Jonin will be helpful for both you and Hinata. This way you can know Hinata a bit better and help her. Why would I want to help her? Temari asked angrily. Because if you don't, it won't be helpful for you or the clan in the long run. Don't think about the present situation, think about the future. You're going to be a clan matriarch, you should think about the best for your clan. Tsunade said sternly. This hit Temari like a ton of bricks. She didn't even think about the position she would get in the future. Seeing the overwhelmed expression on Temari's face, Tsunade said, Don't worry, it's still a long way away, think about this, alright? Temari, here, have some tea, it will calm you a bit, I still need to talk to you about a few more things. Temari sipped the tea given to her and it did calm her a bit. She asked Tsunade to continue. What I'm about to say is very important, it is in regard with Naruto's mental health. Naruto has some serious trust issues and is a bit weary regarding physical contact. Why is that, Hokage-sama? It's because as child he wasn't given any form of physical attention a child needs. As a child the only physical contact he had was from the Sandaime Hokage, and that too happened rarely. A child needs some form of physical contact to feel a sense of security and to trust any other person. Even your brother, from what I heard, will have some of these issues, and as for Naruto, he doesn't understand some of the social concepts of society. That's one of the reasons why he is so obnoxious when he talks with some stranger. So don't expect him to be a perfect gentleman or know most of the things which happen in the society. Hi Hokage-sama, I'll keep that in mind. Temari, before I let you go, I wanted to tell you these things about Naruto because as a woman I know that a man cannot be complete without a woman in his life. Only we women have the power to give the men a sense of peace in their life, either as a mother or sister or wife or just a friend. I know love is rather difficult in arranged marriage, but I want you to help Naruto as a friend. Temari was a bit awed by the statement when Tsunade talked about women. Hi Hokage-sama, I'll help him. Arigato Temari. Tsunade replied with a smile. End of flashback. So Naruto, it's almost time for dinner. How about we go out for dinner today? Temari asked, removing herself from the embrace. Hi, we can go and get some ramen, and if you want we can ask your brothers to join us. No, we'll have dinner with them some other time. I want to go out with you. I haven't seen the village, you can show me after we finish dinner. Sure, whatever you say. Come on, let's go home first, I need a shower from all the sparring. Naruto nodded and both made their way towards the house. After taking a shower, both made their way towards Ichiraku Ramen. Hey Tsuki Gigi, how are you? Naruto said, entering the ramen stand with a broad smile on his face. Oh hey Naruto, how are you? Haven't seen you in the past few days. Tsuki said without even looking at Naruto, already preparing Naruto's ramen. Oh hey Naruto, how are you? And I see you've got a date with you. Ayame teased as she came near the counter to greet him. Naruto blushed at hearing that he was on a date with Temari. I'm fine Ayame nay, this is Temari and she's not my date, I is. Seeing Naruto's hesitancy, Temari took it upon herself to introduce herself. I'm Naruto's fiancé, Temari said in straight voice. What? Shouted Ayame, and sound of utensils being dropped was heard from the kitchen. Yeah, I and Temari kinda got roped into this arranged marriage because of the alliance. Naruto replied, embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck. Oh, so you are the bride that everyone is talking about in Konoha. Ayame told Temari. Temari just shrugged, hearing the news of her presence already floating in Konoha. I'm happy for both of you, so today the first 3 bowls of ramen is on the house. Ayame said happily. Free ramen. Thank you Ayame nay, Naruto shouted, hearing Ayame. Psst Temari, come here. Ayame called Temari to her side of the counter. Naruto is like a brother to me, please don't hurt him. He's already had enough from the stupid villagers. I won't hurt him Ayame-san, no need to worry. Temari whispered. Temari was surprised how good the ramen was here at Ichiraku, but was horrified and awed by the amount of ramen Naruto could eat. Does he always eat this much? Temari asked Ayame. Yeah, he really like ramen a lot. We know too much if it isn't good for him, so my Otu-san adds some nutritious herbs and vegetables. Temari just nodded, hearing this, and finished her bowl. They both left the ramen stand after an awesome dinner, in Naruto's word, to see Konoha.